Forgiveness is a pretty big subject, but it's a really worthwhile thing to go about doing. So there's lots of elements to forgiveness. I'm just going to skirt over a couple of them to start off with, which is forgiving yourself. So looking back at your younger self and the dumb things that we all did and letting it go. You know, so maybe you treated somebody badly, maybe you were in a poor relationship, maybe you treated family badly, that sort of thing. And being able to forgive your younger self for the dumb things that we inevitably did can be really useful. It helps you to put the past behind you and to be present and to look towards the future. So something else that's really useful to do is, in that same context, is forgiving some of the people from your past. So you might hold resentment towards an ex-partner or an old boss or a work colleague or even a teacher at school. And you might refer back to those moments often. And they don't really serve you on any level other than to keep you in a cycle of resentment and anger and blame. And blame isn't useful. For us to move forward autonomously, we need to take full ownership of our lives and stop making our current situations about somebody or something from the past. Now, I refer a lot to how does that serve you? So you have an emotional reaction to something. Maybe somebody pulls out in front of you and you get really angry, but you're alone in your car and that person's gone and they can't hear you. You're just sitting in your car mad, but you've chosen to be like that and to do that, and you've chosen to be in that state, and you might carry that state with you for the rest of the day. And I would say to you, when something triggers you like that and you can feel yourself kicking off, ask yourself, how does that serve you? It's a really, really, really useful little phrase just to keep in the back of your mind to serve you. So talking about forgiveness, there's a great case, I can't remember where I heard this, but in a podcast I think, of a woman whose son was shot and murdered by another young man. That young man was sentenced, etc., caught, found guilty and all that. And not only did the mother go ahead and forgive the boy who shot and killed her son, she befriended him, she loved him, and she adopted him. Now, I know people's visceral reactions is, oh my God, how could somebody do that? But when you understand emotion really deeply and you understand human behaviours in a really sophisticated level, then you will be able to unravel this. But we've all got to start somewhere. So how could she forgive him? So it's sort of a multi-layered thing where she could see that that boy who murdered her son had came from his own troubled background, who had had bad things happen to him, and he had reacted in certain ways because he didn't understand his own emotions and actions and behaviours attached to those emotions. And so she could see that, and she knew that she could help him by showing him a different way. But on top of that, as well as that, maybe even more important than that, what enables her to do that is that hate, for her to hate that boy, changes nothing. All it does is it makes her miserable. It does not show how much she loved her son. How much she loved her son is an expression of love, not hate. And so when you understand what emotions mean and why you have them, you can really start to work with them much better and forgive people better and understand the world better and move through it better. And it becomes a much more comfortable place to be, and it's filled with much more happiness and love and a lot less resentment, anger, frustration, fear and hate. So I understand that that sort of extreme forgiveness is a little bit beyond most people. But where most of us want to start is just with little elements of forgiveness. So when that person pulls out in front of you in the car and cuts you off and maybe makes you have to hit your brakes a little, then maybe instead of going into a tirade about, do they not know how to drive? Like you can feel that immediately, even though I'm just mimicking it, how bad that feels. So instead of feeling like that, think to yourself, geez, I wonder, maybe that person's just had a terrible fight with their partner. Maybe they're running away from violence. Maybe that person has a horrible job and they hate every second of it, and that's where they're off to. They're off to their job. Maybe somebody's just been really maybe they have a horrible life. Maybe they've got a terrible illness. So you start to reason in a more logical way and understand that other people's behaviours are not always about you. In fact, other people's behaviours, I'm sorry to tell you, are really never about you. They're always about them, just as your behaviours are always about you. So what I would ask you to think about with forgiveness is, as you look through your past and you look at yourself, can you forgive your younger self for the silly mistakes that they made and the poor decisions that they made? And can you forgive the other people who were around you in your life back then? And can you let that stuff go? Because unless you let it go, moving forward becomes much more challenging.